also currently living in is haunted by a boy who seems like he wants to kill me.
Adam, a regular man in his mid-30s, lived a quiet life, worked at a typical office job, spent most of his free time alone in his apartment with his 2 cats. Life was simple, peaceful, predictable. But everything changed that one night. His story could be summarized by the first tweet he ever posted. A tweet that didn't come out of nowhere, obviously. A series of strange events led him to share it. It all started that night with that strange dream where Adam found himself laying in bed, completely awake but unable to move, or what we call paralyzed. But that wasn't the worst part. Across the room, sitting in a green old chair, was a boy. The boy stared at him. His eyes were hollow and lifeless, and half of his head was missing. His face was twisted in a way that made Adam feel completely sick. He didn't look human at all. The boy felt like an object, an empty thing that obviously lacks a soul. Adam wanted to scream, to move, but he couldn't. He could only stare back at the boy who continued to gaze at him silently. The terror in Adam's chest tightened, but all he could do was wait, until finally the feeling faded away, causing him to wake up, finding himself completely drenched in sweat, and his heart was literally pounding to his chest. At first, he tried to push it away. It was just a dream, but the image of the boy was haunting him. Every time he closed his eyes, all he could see was that twisted face, creepy eyes, and very unusual appearance. It was impossible to forget. And as a graphic designer, Adam did the only thing he knew how to do. He drew the boy, trying to add every single detail he remembers from that nightmare. And eventually, he was left with this image. Days passed after days, and Adam actually convinced himself that it was a normal thing, which actually wasn't. That was until the dreams started again. One night, Adam found himself in a dark library, sitting at a table, reading an old book. The room felt too empty, almost too still. But then, out of nowhere, a gorgeous girl appeared. She walked straight up to him. Her face was intense, despite her beauty. She took the book from his hand and she asked, "Where's David?" Adam stared at her confused. "Who's David?" he asked. The girl looked at him with a strange knowing expression and replied, "He's dead, but you met him, and I'm warning you, the next time you see him, don't ask him more than 2 questions or it'll make him mad." Adam woke up with a start, his heart racing. "David? The boy from my dream?" he whispered to himself. But the thought made no sense. Why would a girl warn him about a boy in his dreams? It didn't feel just like a dream anymore. It felt like a warning. But Adam tried to push it out of his mind. He told himself it was just a coincidence, a trick of his imagination. But no matter how many times Adam was trying to push away things, dreams were coming even more. And what was worse is that every dream was making sense of the other. They were kind of becoming more vivid than before. But Adam chose to keep fighting it and pushing it away by keeping himself busy, refusing to believe any of those dreams or to even seek for the meaning behind them. Days kept coming after days. David no longer showed in Adam's dreams. Was that it? Is everything over? Was everything really just a small part of Adam's imagination? But the real answer was absolutely not. Guess who appeared in Adam's dreams again? Yup, you guessed it right. It was David, once again. Adam found himself back in his bedroom, but this time he wasn't paralyzed. And the boy, David, was sitting in the same green old chair, staring at him as usual. Adam finally spoke. "Are you David?" he asked in a shaky voice. David didn't react at all at first, until he nodded slowly. The silence between them was thick, with something that Adam couldn't explain. "What happened to your head?" Adam asked, his curiosity getting the best out of him. David's response was chilling. "A shell fell on me at a supermarket, and it caused my death." Adam froze in his place. "And how did the shell fall? Who did that?" he asked, confused. David just stared at him, silently, and his eyes are empty as ever. The room felt heavy with the unanswered question. Adam woke up completely terrified, and the first thing that came to his mind was that green chair, which already existed in his room, so he immediately picked it up and took it downstairs. The next morning, Adam found himself searching on the internet for David. He googled everything he could think of, such as Adam the boy who died in a supermarket, accident shelf, boy named David, but there was nothing. No records, no news, no stories. He even searched for familiar names like Dan or Daniel, but still nothing. It was as if the boy didn't exist, and yet he felt so real. Feeling desperate, Adam decided to move to a new apartment, hoping that a change of environment would help him forget. His neighbor was leaving, and Adam thought it was the perfect chance for a fresh start. But even in the new place, something felt off. At night, his cats would sit and stare at the door, which led directly to the hallway, as if they were seeing something that wasn't there. It was like they were watching something invisible, something that Adam couldn't see. So Adam came up with the idea of setting up an app that would record automatically any sound it catches while he was asleep. The next morning, the first thing he did, the second he opened his eyes, was to check that app. And to be honest, there was nothing interesting, only the sound of his cats and the hum of the cars outside. But there were two shady voices that app caught, which was a recording of two separate steps, but the time difference between them was 40 minutes. Adam didn't want to mind it. A few weeks later, Adam bought a Polaroid camera, thinking it would be fun to take pictures of his designs, and as soon as he received his package, he started putting the camera to the test. So he took a picture of his hallway, but when the picture developed, it was completely black in a strange way. He assumed he had covered the lens by mistake, so he tried again, but this time, he did cover the lens on purpose, yet the picture came out completely different. And that night, David was back in Adam's dreams again. The same creepy appearance, but this time, something was different. David was not sat in that chair. In fact, this time, he was grabbing Adam's hand and leading him from his bedroom to the living room downstairs. Until Adam woke up. But this time, Adam wasn't terrified. He was getting used to it. He was getting used to all those shady, creepy, strange, bizarre dreams. So he carried on and he completed his day like a normal person. But during his day, he noticed something that wasn't really pleasant for him. His hand was actually bruised. And from what he could remember, it was the same hand David was dragging him from. But as I mentioned earlier, Adam no longer cared. He was getting used to it. In fact, this time he was getting ready for his business trip to Japan. So he didn't really have that time to overthink about David. And before he left, he placed a security camera, just in case. And he was ready to leave to Japan. Days passed, and Adam was completely focused on working while being in Japan, but it doesn't mean that he wasn't checking the camera he sat in his house. And while checking, his cat's weird, unexpected behavior really caught his attention. And not just that, there was also a wall hanging that fell by itself, all out of the sudden. Obviously at this point, Adam just said maybe it wasn't well placed and those things can happen, which was actually convenient. But for the cat's behavior, it seemed like they were trying to catch something that wasn't visible on camera. He didn't really want to overthink it. Since he had so much work pressure on him, he decided to throw it away. And after he was done with his work, he thought to himself, why not go out and explore the city? And as he was walking, a big, strange statue caught his attention. He kept staring at it until he spotted that face, which reminded him of David. And here, Adam felt shaken to the core. He immediately went back to the hotel and started packing his things. But the story didn't end here. It has gotten much worse, because after a few days, Adam started hearing those very strange noises coming from the attic. It had only 3 feet of empty space, which means that it is impossible for a human being to fit in there. The next morning, he found some sort of dust in the stairs, which were exactly beneath the attic's door. And when he looked up, Adam noticed a small black object, which he didn't know what was exactly. He grabbed a long stick and started to try to move or open that door. At first, Adam felt really disgusted because he thought it was a dead squirrel, but in fact not. It was a very old-fashioned shoe, and its size was small. And here, Adam's immediate reflex was to call the house owner and tell him about everything. But the house owner was very chill about it, just told Adam not to worry, and if anything else happens, he'll just let him know and he will fix it. But that didn't help Adam at all. In fact, that gave Adam the urge to buy more security cameras. So he ended up buying a security camera that basically takes shots whenever it senses a movement. But only after a couple of weeks, David showed up again. The same dream was repeating over and over and over again. Nothing else but silent stares. It wasn't anything new to Adam. He was already used to that. Until he came back home and noticed a bunch of new pictures in his phone, which were taken from the security camera. And this is what he found. This was clearly the final sign for Adam to leave the house as soon as possible. So Adam moved out, and luckily, David didn't haunt him to his next house. And if you're wondering, how is Adam doing now? Adam continued to live normally, and this whole story happened in 2017. And that was it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video, and let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. And see y'all in the next video.